it isn't the car, and it's also not the win. Everyone's talking about the car and the win, and the expansion and branding and the spectacle and the whole thing, which was amazing. But here's what's interesting. If you think that's what built Michael Jordan's legacy, you're looking at the surface. And if you are building anything really meaningful right now, that misunderstanding is going to cost you. Because the car and the win, that's decoration. The structure of his success is literally in who he is and how he shows up. So, just short, when Michael Jordan moved into racing, the whole internet lit up. Everybody was like, oh my God, the world just was amazed. Another power move. This guy's on the, going to make it. Another win, another dominance play, right? All these accolades. But when you listen to Michael Jordan speak about his life, about what's important to him, he doesn't start with the trophies and the wins. He actually starts with his mother. He talks about the discipline that she instilled in him, about the values and the standards that he grew up with, that she actually demanded and expected from him, and how she refused to let him drift. And even when he made that move to Nike, like there were big names. Converse was huge at the time. Adidas, they were all after him. But his mom looked at him the night before actually he was going to go and sign the contract with Nike. He's like, I'm out. Nike at the time wasn't really known in other areas other than running shoes. He was like, I don't know if I want to go. And his mother literally said, you will be on that plane, Michael. And it wasn't harsh or dramatic. She just knew that that was the direction that he needed to go, and she believed in him, and she believed what actually could come from what this young man, at the time he was 21, could bring into the world. So, before all the championships, before all the wins, before all the media hubbub, there was that structure, that internal orientation. And even before Nike and he had all the contracts, his mother, his family had those expectations. He had a framework that he operated within. So that global brand ownership, I mean, it's amazing, but there was someone behind him that was helping shape how he thought. And then he stepped into that framework. He stepped into his own authority. And it wasn't flashy. It was really super foundational. And honestly, most people want that spotlight without building that foundation. I'm going to talk about that in a second. First, I want to introduce myself. I'm Leezá Steinorf. I'm an international leadership coach and a member of the Forbes Coaches Council. And literally for decades, I've been helping businesses and people around the world to think more clearly, to trust themselves and others, and to take decisive action with strength and with integrity, especially when it gets tough. So I want to talk about what most people actually miss. So when we talk about success, when we think about success, we think about the results, the outcomes, what you've accomplished. But success that sustains is rarely about intensity and constant movement and constant growth. It's really about internal governance, how you show up for yourself, what kind of structure you have developed. So you can see performance out there. I mean, Michael Jordan's a perfect example of performance, right? The guy's amazing, was amazing, is amazing. Yesterday proved it. But his orientation, you can't see, but that's what allows him to perform in the world the way he does. So ROOT, acronym that I use, always precedes results. So ROOT stands for ROOT, return to who you are when nobody is watching. Orient. What standards are quietly guiding your decisions? What values are you holding? Without judgment, just orient in that. And then open. Can you receive correction? Can you open up to new possibilities without losing yourself? And then to thrive. Can you actually execute under pressure without imploding and without getting lost in all of that? Those are not easy questions at all. And they're even harder to practice. But that's really what refines that kind of excellence. So Jordan didn't just compete hard. If you go back and you read about this man, if you listen to stories, if you hear him talk, he decided hard, right? He He tolerated people disliking him. He had to deal with all the naysayers. He stood behind his standards and his values. He didn't negotiate excellence just to stay comfortable, let's say. Like he put the rubber to the road, and he lives those standards. And even so, being in relationship, standing for what he believes in, those are things that he lives in. So even the team co-owner, Denny Hamlin, who owns his NASCAR team with him, right after the race, he made a statement that there's nothing else that can bring Michael Jordan the joy that's seeing what his team can do, and they took it to heart. So that's team, right? Everybody knows the name Michael Jordan, but how he lives it, how he lives as Michael Jordan, is in relationship based on that structure of standards, not from personality. And that is literally discipline that has been ingrained and embedded into his identity, into who he is and how he walks in the world. So it's really important to know that identity is built long before that knowing of self is built long before any of the accomplishments, in his case, before all the applause. It's the foundation, and it's quiet, and it's hard work, and it's not shiny. But my gosh, without that, all the other stuff just really doesn't come. So let's bring all of it back home again. If you are a young professional and you are building something real, or you want to build something real, then what you have is the opportunity of building from the ground up. Do not start from the outside in. Curate your discipline. Curate what feels good to you, what your standards are, and what your values are. A lot of people start by curating the optics. How's this going to look? What are other people going to think? You got to start within here. And that's something that Michael Jordan's mother really ingrained in him, and how he has walked in the world, and he just keeps going. I think he's in his 60s and he just won. I mean, that's just amazing, right? So in your age group, it doesn't matter where you are, what profession. Ask yourself, are you strengthening that internal structure? Or are you chasing visibility? And that's an easy thing to do in the world of YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, right? Social media, pictures, video clips, AI generated, whatever. Are you strengthening your internal structure? And what standards do you keep maybe softening? Because living up to them would be tough, or it'd be uncomfortable, or other people wouldn't like it. And who actually challenges you? Who holds you to accountability, like Michael Jordan's mom did? Who are the people that believe in you and in your standards and hold you accountable to that? Excellence, it has a price. It just does. And if it didn't, everybody would be doing it, right? It takes effort. It takes commitment. And it does often cost people's approval, or having things being super easy. It is also often the price of having everybody like you, because you show up and you stand for what you believe in. Most people want that outcome. We all do. And there's nothing wrong with wanting the outcome. But how do you get there? And what is your focus and your anchor? How do you orient on the way to getting there? And that takes internal discipline. So I'm going to offer you a mini practice. Tonight, write down one standard of yours that you know that you are avoiding or softening. Just one. And be honest with yourself. This is only for you. And then underneath that, write, if I enforce this standard in my life, it would cost me what? Maybe a relationship, maybe a reputation, maybe your job. Be honest. Would it cost you approval? Would it cost you a relationship? Maybe it would cost you convenience. It'd be a lot tougher. Maybe it would cost you money. And then ask yourself, is the cost of not enforcing that standard, of not living up to what your standards are, is that cost higher? Are you giving up something you believe in? Are you agreeing to things that don't align with your value system? Are you coming consistently away from relationships or situations where you feel deflated or it's not up to your standard? That's a cost. And then sit with that. Sit with what it is that you've just realized. Because legacy, really what you create in this world, is built in those private negotiations with yourself. And you're always negotiating. You're always seeing which way is best for me. So, we come back to Michael Jordan. It wasn't the car and it wasn't the win. It was that structure and internal governance that is not visible in that spotlight. And when you build that kind of internal structure, then success becomes not only attainable, but actually sustainable. Like literally. And he's a perfect example. And it's important to come back to, why is he a perfect example? Because his internal orientation is within in his standards. It's not about out there. Out there has happened because of what he has in here. It's a powerful lesson. So, if you don't start there, literally, success becomes stressful because you're doing it from the outside in. Okay? So if this sharpens something for you, if it increased your awareness of what's important to you, what your internal orientation is, or what perhaps you need to shore up and strengthen, then please go ahead and subscribe, like the video. It helps other people find it. And remember that you actually have the right and the personal privilege, I'm going to say, to choose your standards. Not easy, but it is so fulfilling. And that's how you also build steadiness. That's the work. All right. Thank you for listening. Be well.